So let's get started with the first one, which is Lord of the Rings Tactics. So just like the name, this is a tactical RPG. Now, unfortunately, this is a bare bones tactical RPG, even sometimes feels like baby's first tactics game. Everything about it is pretty simplistic. It just rips scenes straight from the movies and then plops you down in these tactical arenas to play. Now, overall, it is very simplistic, but it's easy enough to understand aside from some of the controls. Some of the camera and controls are really bad. Now, I know the PSP has this problem of camera control and controls, but this one just felt like bad. Now, in this game, there really is no story aside from just following the movies. It shows cutscenes from the movie and then it drops you into the tactical arena to play in. One cool thing is you can play as good or evil. Yes, you can play as Aragorn and Gandalf, and you can also play as Saruman and Grima. He plays Grima, which does add some uniqueness and some replay value, but it is basically the same levels just playing as evil. And yeah, it is really basic. You move along the grid, you can attack, you can use items, you can use skills. One thing I freaking hate about this game is the movement is a complete waste of time. You try to move and it like locks you into place. It says you can move like 4 squares away, but you try to move and the enemy moves with you and then you stop and it's like a stun lock. It's extremely annoying. It takes away some of the tactics involved from retreating and like moving your troops around. It is horrible. It's actually one of my least favorite parts about the entire game. But overall, it feels and looks pretty decent for a PSP game. But like I said, it's really bare bones. Like the menu system, the UI, the sound effects, it's all like very, very low quality. There's just a lot of jank here with some of the animations, the camera control. But overall, if you can get used to it, there is some fun to be had here, especially if you like tactics games and you like Lord of the Rings. It can actually be a decent time-wasting game. One cool thing that I found is there's actually optional missions in this game, which can be a nice way to level up your troops instead of like grinding. But this game does seem like it encourages quite a bit of grinding. Some enemies like alerts have an absurd amount of health where you'll be going through the same movement and attack phase over and over and over again just to whittle down his health. It's obnoxious. Now, speaking of alerts, playing as Mordor is actually kind of fun, a nice change of pace. It was so cool being able to see myself control the Balrog, but unfortunately the stun locking movement even stops you from playing as the Balrog. I was trying to move past Aragorn and it would not let me move. You literally cannot move, so I was just attacking Aragorn over and over and over. It's so bad. I don't know if I'm missing something or that's... And sometimes I felt like enemies healed way too much. Sometimes even fully healing themselves when you just took 10 turns to whittle down some of their health. I feel like the majority of this time playing the game, I just wasn't having the greatest time. I much rather would have been playing better tactical RPGs like Disgaea. I mean, there's like a million better tactical RPGs on the PSP. Jeanne d'Arc, War of the Lions. I mean, the list goes on and on. But yeah, sadly, when you're playing as the enemy, it's the same maps. Now, there are different cutscenes from the movies, but sometimes they don't even line up properly with the map. It just feels like this game could have been so much more. This game is like a 6 when it could have been an 8. And no, not even multiplayer can save the day. There is multiplayer up to 4 players. It's a nice little bonus to mess around with your friends, but it's not going to save the game. This is a bare bones Lord of the Rings game and a bare bones tactics game, heavily relying on nostalgia and your love for tactics games, but really wish they would have tried harder with the game. I would have loved to give it a B tier, and I'm even feeling kind of D tier right now, but I'm going to be a little nice, and we're gonna put Lord of the Rings Tactics in the C tier. And next up is Lord of the Rings Aragorn's Quest. Now, this game actually came out on multiple systems. I used to have this game on PlayStation 3. You can even play it with the Move controller. Yeah, I know. And there was some fun to be had with that game. It was like a 7 out of 10 maybe. But the PS2, DS, and the PSP versions are completely different. They are like hack and slash Diablo style RPGs. And immediately I was having way more fun with this game than Lord of the Rings Tactics. Just the production quality in general, like the graphics and the menus and everything, just looked and felt a lot better. But yeah, this is an action RPG where you will be doing a lot of hack and slashing, finding items, breaking barrels and boxes, using your skills, leveling up, finding new weapons and armor. And for the most part, it does a decent job. But just like the tactics game feeling like baby's first tactics game, this does kind of feel like baby's first Diablo style game. But this game, you actually follow a storyline. Yes, there's even cutscenes and voice acting built right into the game, and they even got Sean Astin, the GOAT himself, Samwise Gamgee, to record his lines for this game. So already it's just way more immersive than Lord of the Rings Tactics. But sadly, some of the controls and the combat feels a little wonky, especially at first. Like using the X button to block and parry just kind of felt weird to me. But you do get used to it and you will be hacking and slashing your way through the game. You'll be leveling up, getting skill points, and using your skill points to buy new skills, which can actually be really helpful, like doing an arrow charge shot or a speed boost to make Aragorn run around the map, and charged sword attacks to stun the enemies. Now the first hour or so of this game was incredibly easy. You can literally just hack and slash your way constantly. Every enemy is dropping health. There's really no danger to be had. But a little bit later, some of the enemies were doing a lot of damage. But still, there's plenty of health. There's Aethelus leaves to pick up, which can heal you. The save points are in good places. There is some challenge here, especially if you're just completely ignoring blocking and parrying, but overall it's pretty easy. Now there are puzzles in this game, and of course, you know, just like the game itself, they're pretty simple to figure out, but for some reason they were kind of satisfying. Like find 3 of these objects and take it to this one object to clear the way or open the door. And the environments look great for the PSP. Now these are not going to be like award-winning graphics or anything, but they definitely get the job done. Exploring is pretty fun, and there are a lot of hidden chests to find. Yes, you can get new weapons and armor, and the armor actually changes the way Aragorn looks, which I was not expecting. Super cool. And you can find crafting items to craft new swords and amulets and rings. It's a fun time. There's a decent amount of enemy variety. There's wolves, there's orcs, there's berserkers. Some enemies are using their shields and some of them are shooting arrows. Between that and all of the skills you have and your ranged weapon, it kind of keeps you on your toes. Now, of course, while you're playing, they have the Lord of the Rings soundtrack blaring in your ears, which is one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. But unfortunately, in this game, it sounds like it loops over and over again. So the sound and the amazing music actually gets old. The menus and UI were way better in this game than the Tactics game. Clean and easy to navigate. There's even some combos in here and some advanced techniques, like using one of your skill to knock back a bunch of enemies and then they get stunned and they're laying on the ground, and then you use your bow and arrow to finish them off. You can even sometimes pick up environmental items like torches and hack and slash enemies with your torch, lighting them on fire and then throwing the torch at the end. But yeah, after a while the combat does get very repetitive, especially in some instances where they are just throwing waves and waves of enemies at you to kind of feel like it pads the game. But overall, I have to say I was having a lot more fun with this game than Tactics. I actually wanted to continue to play this game and get further, but sadly, just like the Tactics game, this is like a 6 and it could have been like an 8. But overall, if you are looking for a hack and slash RPG on the PSP and you love Lord of the Rings and you think it sounds cool to play as Aragorn, I highly recommend actually trying it. There's a decent amount of hack and slash RPGs on the PSP, but there's not like a ton. If you are a huge fan, I highly recommend trying to find it. So where does it rank? Okay, this is going to be a little difficult. You know what? I'm kind of in a little bit of a good mood today, so I think I'm going to rank Lord of the Rings Aragorn's Quest in the B tier. There is actually some fun to be had in this one, and unfortunately Lord of the Rings Tactics was just a little too annoying in some parts. So with Lord of the Rings Tactics in the C tier and Lord of the Rings Aragorn's Quest in the B tier, that means to me and my rankings, Lord of the Rings Aragorn's Quest is the best Lord of the Rings game on PSP, which is not saying much. Man, if only we got the Two Towers and Return of the King on PSP, that would have been awesome, but I'll take what I can get. Alright guys, if you want more retro PlayStation content, click here on the screen and also subscribe for more PlayStation nostalgia and retro PlayStation content. Did you play any of these Lord of the Rings games? Comment down below. And what other games or PlayStation consoles would you like me to cover in the future? Hit the like button and I'll see you in the next video.